So you have the term humanity. As you can see, what else is that term being used for? Us. Humanities. So there are large, fully aquatic, mostly herbivorous, marine mammal. So I know the article is reading, plural, but sometimes known as sea cows. There are 3 accepted living species. Accepted. That's interesting choice of wording, right? Representing 3 of the 4 living species in the order Sirenia. And that's going to be the main, one of the other main shebang words of this presentation. So the term Sirenia. So as you can see here, they live in the marshy coastal areas and rivers of the Caribbean Sea, Gulf of Mexico, the Amazon basin in West Africa. The main causes of death for manatees are human related. Interesting, right? Human related, humanity related. Such as habitat destruction and human objects. Their slow moving, curious nature. Now, upon when out being in Florida, it's common, to interact with these. So if you live in these areas, people interact. It's easy. They're gentle. So you can see these are the West Indian manatee, African manatee, Steller sea cow, dugong, and Amazonian manatee that's being shown here. You can see they look like mermaids. And as we know about the mythology, and I'm going to be getting to that later, about that term, mythology and wit, and also look at how these look like mermaids, and I'm going to focus mainly on this topics that are being mentioned intentionally, because these clearly look like mermaids, and the narrative that we've been given with the mythology, a lot of times it's referring to things that you can say in the real world. Yes, there are supernatural things that do occur, yet when you flip the M in mythology to a W, that's your wit. So it's usually referring to many things about us. You can say in the observable world, yes, there are more things that are occurring, yet you're starting with this, especially this play on words, humanity. So this is showing from what's being shown, because as we know, there's more areas in this, and these are the flood waters that they're mostly in. As we know, what we're calling the ocean is floodwaters. The term continent is the ability to hold water. Buildings hold water. This place is built up. If you add an A to the term place, it's palace. So this place is built. It's intelligently designed. Intelligence is involved with everything, regardless of how the parameters explained. So this is a narrative that's a part of the humanity topic. There's other names involved. The pezzo siren. As they're showing legs, and we're going to see the skeleton of some of the fully marine types according to this narrative that's being given, because this would suggest with the succession of being originally a land animal and moving into the water, and that, and there's a narrative about evolution being untrue, so in a sense. And as you can see, this is a drawn depiction. Those are photographs, meaning, was this animal ever seen alive? Is this skeleton real? So these are things for people to really question, because we could be given the truth about certain things, and things can be covered up. There's a lot of our hysteria or history spelled Hystery, which equals 33 in gematria, which is very important because history spelled the other way. Just know it, like it's. So when you see 33, that's telling you something. That's a signature. Because most of the parts of our body equals 33 in gematria. That's something to note and to be aware of. You can see a skeleton. If you look up skeletons of any of these extinct would be so-called zero, longer being alive. Extant being present day. You can see specimens, alive, living examples. So you can see a rudimentary legs. You can see the mandibles. It's something how mandible. You have that root word man. It referred to many things. Like the hands or the forelimbs. You have the mandible, like the jaw. You have ma found immersed inside of the language. Hence the manatee. Human, womb, manatee. This is a graceful photo. This really serene, which is a term that's very relevant to this topic. Serenity. You can interchange the vowels, and you can actually omit the vowels, yet the sirenia are serene. And that's getting into something else as well. Serenity. Like, this is all the same term. This is all the same root word. And we'll see how this is going to be taken a roundabout. But yeah, this is clearly a mermaid. So this mythology of, these things, when you watch these presentations, and this is the sea cow, they're floating, which is going to get into that term as well. They're buoyant, they'll always mention this thing about, when they're speaking about mermaid specials, they'll say, or specials, they'll say, could it be referring? They'll always ask the question, that rhetorical question. It seems hypothetical, but it's rhetorical. Does it have something to do with the dugongs, the manatees? They always go back to that. So you notice whenever they give you all these little things to think that they're humans, but you see how they call humanities. They're called manatees. I'm telling you, like, we're man and woman. We're men, but they, then they put the prefix, hue. These are the same situation, and in Florida, there's people, I know, I say personally, but that would rub the barnacles off, and you can see the foliage that grows on them, algae. This happens on a lot of marine animals. But just like anything, we can clean them off. They can clean themselves off. They rub against rock, so-called, which would have been bricks, because this place is built up. And all the salt that you get is from the materials, from the building, and which clearly, like, it's suitable for life. Clearly, everything flourishes in it, can adapt to it. Trees grow from all this material. Like, this is an integrative environment. Like, ver means to see. It also refers to the color green, verde, and it's veri, well done. Orchestrated, how everything exists. Even the terms, as we're even mentioning inside of this, mint. So it's interesting how mend, the T and the D interchangeability. We're mending things with our mind. The T and the D, mind, mint, the plant mint, and the interchange the vowel, mend, mint, menthol at the H. You can take the H on and off of terms. You can see how this is all same thing with the siren. Serene. They're rarely serene because people in Florida, they will go into the water. You have to be careful because they might push you over because they're just gracefully, they're heavier than you, but they'll allow you to rub the barnacles off of them. That's how serene they are. You see, siren, and and people, we associate that term with sound, which is going to be an interesting aspect to this presentation as well, because one question is, how do these sound, and this is their different, depictions of them. So you have the term sire, which in Greek is archon or archontos, and that's where you're getting the root word sir from. So sire is a high status male. So for the most part, this term sire refers to a man, a high status man. That's where you get the term desire from, or unsire. De means to undo. So it's like the high status male, like, some could refer to the male aspect, the higher or the highest. So unsire would mean like an asking, like it's undone, but then it's done. So asking it is given. So that's where you get the term desire from. A synonym is bespeak. So sire is lord or master, sire, magnate, grandee, magistrates, stallion, sire. So that's a high status male kept for breeding, and we'll see that's the opposite of a matrix, which is a womb man. You see how sire refers to men. As you can see here, archaic. You see, archon, archaic, a male ancestor. Man of rank or authority. But it's, the male parent of an animal, especially of a domestic animal. But it's a high status male. That's where you get the, that's one of the definitions. And we all be high status, like it's abundance, especially with that, flourishing. So a biological father, as we've seen before. I love that term gamete, the plant, or gamete, game. That's something to be going into. Yet a male ancestor, forefather, to be a biological father. So pater, father, fat, pater, sire, sir. You say man, and you see how it's split. So you have sire, and it's really interesting how the mythology is referring to a female aspect. The mythologies usually flip things, and they refer to things fused, with the man and the woman aspects. So see how even the term manatee has ma in it. The same thing with matrix, So it's interesting how the term sire mostly has to do with males or philologically, and etymologically. And so, as you can see here, the matrix is a female animal kept for breeding, or plant, sometimes called a parent plant or mother plant. It's interesting. It's like the term mother tongue, mater. And that's where you get the term matter. You like mater, but then if you had an H, that's math. I know people refer to the ma'at, but it's all, you see how it's all the same root words. Whose seeds were used for producing other plants. You see mathematicians use it for a rectangular organization. See math, mater, matrix, and I know people say all tricks, but it's like when you look into these terms, you'll see these other things being activated. It's really interesting because it all make sense once you see the bigger picture. And but yeah, you're having Ma. Everyone comes to the vessel of Ma, and see you're having sire. So the sire is mainly referring to the father aspects, and and even the father has come through the vessel of Ma. Even biologically. So speaking from that aspect, you see how Man, so you have Ma put on everything, and so it's just interesting how you'll have the sirens referred to in the mythology, as female or woman, mermaids or sirens, speaking to sailors. But I think that that's just a load of, it's there's more to that story. Yet a lot of this mythology is just things to deter us from what's really going on, and that does happen. There is deceptions here in this world. So a man to be addressed as sir. So that's the reason why I'm omitting any slides about that, but it's being addressed about the mythology aspect, because a lot of that was brought about recently. And as you can see here, the proof is in the pudding. There's a lot of mythologies that are just explained about things, and you can find out that there's a lot of holes in the stories, and you can disprove a lot of it. This is a happy sea cow, and I really like this because you can see a smile in a lot of animals. Animation, anima is spirit, and spirit is going to the term sprite, which is referring to water. Even air is water. It's a form of a liquid. It's mostly water vapor, wattage, electricity. So it's something how you have animated, in the T and D interchangeability, made, animate, like spirit made, sprite, and you have that beverage Sprite. Is far from an accident with the usage of all these terms, including this topic. You can see how it's all interchanged, and we're going to be getting into the sound, especially because sound is involved in water as well, including these. You can say creatures, but as you can see, so many things are intertwined, especially with the language. But yeah, they'll just be serenely, gracefully just going around eating, the sea cows. So like the cows of the sea, literally. As you can see here, the very...
Ruth from Canada and Emily from Florida want to know, do manatees make any audible sounds to communicate with each other like dolphins? Manatees do make sounds. In fact, manatees make sounds underwater that they use to communicate with each other, similar to dolphins. However, it's not believed that they're used for navigational purposes. Now, especially common are the vocalizations between a female and her calf. Let's take a listen. Manatee sounds can be described as chirps, whistles, or even squeaks.
Oh, there goes the happy cow again. Oh, humanities. So, C. So, sigh, you can also pronounce this sigh. It's thou or you in Greek. So, if you have a siren, this is the first root word of it, sigh. And yeah, you can say C, but that would be yes, but this is sigh, which is you. So, we're going to also get into the other part as well. It's ren, like, which is going to be interesting because re is to do again. Then there's a syncope in the language, which is an omission of a sound or a letter from a term. And so you have siren. So that you can have reen or a serene, but as you'll see with this thing about syncopes, when you're adding the extra letter, you'll get spot on about certain things because you can see what fits in. Like once you get used to this syncope thing with the language, you can usually figure out what letter is put in its place that's been omitted. It's like Monday and Moon Day. So they took the extra O off, and the same thing with Ren. They took the O off. Reno. It means to swim or to float. So, and it's going to be interesting because the R and the L can be interchanged. They usually have opposite meanings. So you would have Selen. So you have siren and Selen, but in this case, Reno, Sireno, Reno. Like again, you see NATO, like NATO. So it means to swim and float. So there you go. So we solved it. This is what's going on. And also, you can also float in the more buoyant water, which we would call the air, and see how we have, this interaction between different forms of water and just the way everything is orchestrated. And you would say we're land animals and, and different things like that. There's different ways to be buoyant. So when you're buoyant, the more buoyancy you're there's a floating aspect involved, regardless if it's immersed in a fluid, a liquid. So you could even refer to flying as a form of swimming. Yet more specifically, it's fluito. You see how fluid, the T and the D can be interchanged. So fluito. So yeah, Reno. So this is where the term is coming from. So we get a smackdown for all of you researchers that have been tuning in as we got it. We hit it on the nail. But then there's a more to the story. A love, like more. There's more to the story. So this is going to be really fun, or pun, like pun intended, because we're going to get into the R and the L interchangeability, which is going to go into Selen. So at this point, we've gotten to the siren aspect, which is the name of this family. The siren family includes the dugong, manatee, the manatee. As we know, even we're having that name, humanity. Oh, well, I'm saying that, they never were mentioning the term humanity, but I just know there's zero accident, with this thing. There's narratives about, our ability to swim. We float, we're buoyant. There's many semi-aquatic species here, and we're all involved with water, like the water's involved with everything here. So swimming and floating, yeah. So we're all equipped. for this aquatic environment. And again, spirit goes to the term sprite, which is referring to water spirits, or spirit, spiral, spiral. So see, water is being involved with everything. Wattage, electricity, electromagnetism is light. So literally, you see, light or ollie. So lighter, a lighter. So this topic is getting lighter. So you have selenium. So Sele is referring to the moon for the most part. And I'm sure they'll make a point to mention that you see, as at the bottom in the middle, around a little bit after the midpoint, you see ancient Greek Selene is for moon. And that's where they're mentioning that, because they're just pointing out how that's where this element, all in L is the same, ment, the mind, element, the rudiment, like the root word, or the root like your route, or the root like your roots, like, the electricity pattern, and the Rudy. So the T and the D interchangeable. So rudiment. That's where you get the term rudiment. You can say rootment. So selenium. So then you have selenite. Selenite. They give us these narratives about how they formed over however long years. They'll tell you a lot, but then they'll throw on these other things, like desert rose. These are damaged parts of this realm. Originally they were made, all types of materials come from bricks and all these other materials. Like they can get transformed with heat, electricity. Then they have alternate names. They call them like the crystal habit varieties of the mineral gypsum. It's interesting. Egypt, how gypsum, and when you rearrange the letters, that'll give you some interesting unveilations as well. Selenite. And there's there's energetic properties to all these, and they can heal your body, and just give resonance, because this is what we're made of, or mate, mot. This is what we're mot of. Math, if you add the H. Arithmetic, the 3 R's, reading, writing, arithmetic, rhythm, rhyming. Yeah, reading comprehension. So cell. So that's where you're getting the term sail, or salt, salvation, saliva. So sail, like you're sailing. So floating, they're sailing through the water. And then selenium, or is referring to the moon, and it's sailing. You have the term sailor, moon. It's sailing, and it's floating. As we saw, reno means to swim or to float. So, and we have the sirens, and you have selen, like seleno or selenite, or so. You see how all this is very well named. So, the more that we know, the more knowledge, the more no leg that we have. Leg is something to stand on. There's many other words that goes into. So when you see that you can add the E, take the E on and off of the end of terms, and different vowels. Yet you can see, what these roots. So it was getting interrupted. Yet you can see it with these roots are referring to. And Yes, I was mentioning, yeah, with the Rudies. So, we can have the different vowels at the end. The terms like sella, like sail, and we sail. We have sails for things, like, and we use moony for different sails. Selenite, sail, the moon, moony. Moony is equaling 33 and at least four ciphers in gematria. That's very significant. And I know, like, there's money with one O, but the same thing with Monday. It's Moon Day. They took the O off. And if you look into these terms, MONE equals moon. So cell is referring to the moon as well. Like a selenographer is someone who studies the moon. SCL. So you have sail, navigation, voyage, sailing, sail, sailcloth, you can say a curtain. That's, interesting. Velum, a veil. That's where we get the term veil. But yeah, navigatio, navigation, voyage, sailing, sail. Again, when we're having a sail, referring to Mooney. And you have coins, which would be many moons. You have the term many moons, like silver coins. A friend of mine, or amigo, was pointing out about the many moons, how the coins are looking like mini moons. So, and thus you're sailing. It's very, very interesting. So this is the icing on the cake for this topic. So we've went full sail with this one, with the humanity and siren and selling plays on terms. So I hope you all enjoy, and good learning and teaching, because we're all teachers of teachers. Cheers. I have my tea with me, and hope that you all incorporate teas into your diet. There's a huge variety of different choices and benefits out of each. You can combine them, and speak with you soon.